What's up, everyone? So, I don't normally like browse headlines to have like topics to talk about, but I just happen to be looking on my whatever when you go to like log on and stuff, and this popped up from the PGA Tour, and there's a golfer named Justin Thomas, and apparently on the third hole, he missed a putt, and his mic was still live, and it picked him up dropping the F bomb. And I don't mean the four-letter one. I mean the anti-gay slur. So they bring him over at some point and they have him do like this live apology where, let me see if I can see where it speaks to what he had said. I'm not seeing it. So basically, during it, at some point, he says, I'm embarrassed. And here's the one that got me thinking to speak on this. He says that's not who I am. That's exactly who you are. Now, it doesn't mean that you say it every day. It doesn't mean that you have, you know, hate crimes in mind. It doesn't mean that you're against, gay marriages and everything. But yeah, that's exactly who you are. And here's the news for all of us. That's exactly who we all are as a society. Now, individually, we may not speak that way, but that's who we are as a society. Very racist, very misogynistic, very homophobic. This is our society, like it or not. Now, this does not fall at the feet of the current exiting administration, but it's a good place that we can take cues from as how to change for the better and how not to be. And I'm not dumping this at the feet of, again, the current exiting administration, but if we are so about taking cues from our politicians, our entertainers, our athletes, then who are we putting in front of us? And I understand, things have, come out of people's mouths that is not exactly their finest moment. And don't get me wrong, I've said and done it all. But when I can say that's not who I am now, I don't say those words. I don't use the N word. I don't like, maybe I'll cuss in a general sense, but disparaging towards other groups is not it. Not it. So, again, we have the ability to make change within ourselves, and that kind of is our society. Society at large, of course, is like our country. That's what that's what our society is about. But you have sub societies as well, and that can be your community, your circle of people. That can be who you associate with. So it doesn't mean that because large in part there's a lot of people that still use that terminology that you have to, but what it means is that you really do have to make a change for the better within yourself. And more importantly, here's the hard part: you got to call people in your circle to task on it. And the beautiful thing that I've been seeing over the last year or so is that there's been a lot of people that are talking about having, not only discussions, but arguments and defending the point of no longer using that terminology in their presence. It's like smoking. Like, hey, if you want to talk about, gay marriage or Black Lives Matter, or you want to shoot these things out, do it over there. And unfortunately, it's dividing homes and dividing people, but it's necessary. It's so necessary to not continue just to say, well, that's just how my uncle's always been. No, your uncle can change too, because I'm sure he's changed cars, jobs, houses. I'm sure he's wives. I'm sure good old uncle's changed a lot of things in his life. He can change that mindset too. And if people don't know, I've always said it starts with education. So, again, if Uncle says, well, I don't know anything about it, well, he sure knew how to, change the caulking in his bathroom when he looked on YouTube. So tell old Unc, look on YouTube. There's plenty of history that you can type in. And if you don't know, there's going to be plenty of people that can show you where to start looking. But saying it's how you've always been, okay, cool. But now we know how you are. So until you change that, that's who you are. And there's nothing wrong with saying that's who I am. I can change that. Alcoholics do it. People addicted to other things do it. Just because you're caught into a habit doesn't mean you can't change it. Now, if you just say that's not who I am and think that you're going to move on, no, someone like me is going to call you to task and say, if you said it, then it's somewhere in you. To be that close to the surface. Like I said, for me, I've said it all, but it's so dead and buried. It's an exercise demon. Doesn't make me the Pope, but it just means that I know the difference. Like when you're a former, person that use that language, then like it's not even close to my thought of saying. And again, it doesn't make me better than anyone, but you can recognize it. It's like anything. You can change it. You can say, yes, that's who I am, and I'm going to work on it. That I would have loved to have. I would love to hear that from anybody. It would have been Paula Dean. It could have been like anybody. I would love to hear somebody say, it's who I am, but I'm going to work on it, rather than that's not who I am. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's okay, provided that you recognize it, own it, admit it, and then if that's where you're at, work to change on it. I think people are more willing to work with people who want to change rather than those who will just kind of hope that an apology kind of takes it away. Because I don't think, had that mic been picked up, say his caddy heard it, say, only a few newscasters heard it or something like that, he wouldn't have had to apologize in front of the world. So we're almost more complicit in that sort of thing because secretly we would have let it slide. Why? Because it looks bad, the ratings, blah, 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 this and that. But meanwhile, that human being is still not their best selves, and we didn't help them get a little better in that moment. And because he's rich, famous, and powerful, you might lose your job by saying something directly to him or something along those lines. So I'm tired of seeing people apologize only because they got caught. Take the time to recognize this is who I am in this moment, and it's indicative of a larger problem. So with that said, I'm going to sign out. Hopefully this finds everyone in a good place, and we can understand that we can change even though we are part of a society that is built on so many isms, so many divides, so much prejudice, that it's actually quite shocking. But we're seeing how it's coming to play, and we're seeing a lot of pushback to progress by those who would rather it not change. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.